એના પર એક્શન એટલે પછી વધારે બેનિફિટ થશે. આફ્ટર ઓલ આપણને જે હાથમાં સુખ આપ્યું છે ને કે આપણને વર્તાય એ માટેની આ ગોઠવણી છે. આપેલું છે સુખ, પણ એને આપણે હવે એને છે ને ભોગવીએ, બરાબર એને એન્જોય કરીએ. એટલા માટે આ ગોઠવણી એટલે વોટ ગેટ્સ ટ્રેક ડન એમ કરીને વ્યવહારમાં ઉપયોગ કરવાનો.
કરીશ, નોટ રાખીશ હવેથી.
No, Krishna, we have started doing it. જો અરુણાબેન ને પૂછજો, એમને બધા ગપ્પેર મારતા હતા કે હું આમ કરું છું, આમ કરું છું, આમ કરું. પછી કે ખ્યાલ નતો આવતો really what we are doing, you know. So now we have started tracking it. કે ભાઈ દિવસમાં પોઝિટિવ ને નેગેટિવ કેટલું થાય છે, દિવસમાં રજની કેટલું થાય છે.
એકચ્યુઅલીમાં જ્યારે પેલા તમે સૂત્રો મૂકો છો ને વાની પર, એ કેલેન્ડર મારી પાસે અહીંયા છે, તે ઓફિસમાં મૂકેલું છે. એટલે રોજ પહેલા તો ઓફિસમાં જઈને વાંચું એટલે ખબર પડે કે ઓકે કૃષ્ણ અત્યારે તાર વાણી પર જ કરવાનો જ પુરુષાર્થ, એટલે જો કે તું ક્યાં બોલે છે, શું બોલે છે. એટલે દાદાની પાસે પ્રાર્થના તો માંગી લો કે દાદા એવી શક્તિ આપજો કે કોઈને માટે ખરાબ ના બોલાય, કે કોઈને બેડ રીતે ના બોલાય. અને પછી
એ બધું તો Krishna, that is all beginning is fine, but what is it we are tracking કે આપણે કેટલું પોઝિટિવ બોલીએ છીએ કેટલું નેગેટિવ દિવસ. That's what we are tracking. Okay,
વોચ કરવું,
એની વાત થાય છે. This is advancement now. Okay,
it really helps in Krishna if you take the notes, then it remind you and you તેની જાગૃતિ વધે.
ઓકે, લખીશ, નોટ લખીશ હવે.
કે એક જ મિનિટ દીપકાનંદજી ત્રિમંત્ર બોલાવો. Everybody please follow.
જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ.
જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ.
નમો વિતરાગાય.
નમો
વિતરાગાય.
નમો હરિહંતાણમ.
નમો હરિહંતાણમ.
નમો સિદ્ધાણમ.
નમો સિદ્ધાણમ.
નમો આયરિયાણમ.
નમો આયરિયાણમ.
નમો વજ્રાયાણમ.
નમો વજ્રાયાણમ.
નમો લોય સવચાહણમ.
નમો લોવે સવ્વસાહૂનમ.
એસો પંચનમુત્તારો.
એસો પંચનમુક્કારો.
સ્વભાવપ્રણાશનો.
સર્વપાવપ્રણાશનો.
મંગલાણં ચ સર્વેષાં.
મંગલાણં ચ સર્વેષાં.
પરમં હવૈ મંગલં.
પરમં હવૈ મંગલમ.
ઓમ નમો ભગવતે વાસુદેવાય.
ઓમ નમો ભગવતે વાસુદેવાય.
ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય.
ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય.
જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ.
જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ.
જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ. જય શ્રી પુલિનાનંદજી. જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ મહાત્મા.
પુલિનાનંદજી.
જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ.
Okay, anybody want to share their experience or how they're doing separation, how they've been able to do relative real observation?
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand, Kashyap.
Yeah, can I ask regarding this, the effect of hurting someone creates egos, you know?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, just a minute. Little bit I asked, but still I want to understand. This is from Apt.Pulinanandji 6, page 36. The effect of hurting someone creates egos. This one, please explain.
Okay, what's your question?
Yeah, how does the effect of hurting someone creates egos, please explain this.
Deepakanandji, Pulinanandji?
जरा इन्हें scroll करो. Let us read the paragraph. ना इसमें the explanation will be there itself. हाँ. When you hurt someone and you can see the pain you are causing that person, you have the awareness that you are hurting them. That is the attribute of the ego called sensitiveness. Sensitiveness, egoism of a kind. And that egoism begins to dissolve. The other person will not experience any hurt. The other person will get hurt as long as you have egoism. Okay, so effect of hurt creates echoes in the sense, what does it mean is when you hurt someone, when you hurt someone, he'll have pain. And when he has pain, he will have a reflective pain. The effect of hurting someone or causing pain to someone will result in you also experiencing pain, cause and effect. So then you will also experience pain. When you experience pain, then again you might hurt somebody else. So that is that echoes thing that Dada Bhagwan is trying to tell. It creates an echo.
It's cause and effect, it will create.
That will continue. Till one of them decides, so it is wrong.
So here Dadaji is saying, as long as means other person is not at fault for any instance, how can he be at fault? He believes that happiness is verily in the worldly life, and for him it is this effect. Now if we try to convince him that this belief is wrong, then it is our mistake. There is some mistake and deficiency within us somewhere. I have seen this through my experience. As long as I was experiencing those results within, those effects were experienced by others too. When it stopped being there in the mind, when all the doubts left, then everything else, the reaction in others left too. Now here I want to understand what doubts means, which are, living so in the mind, what kind of doubts will come which will call reaction in others.
See, basically what Dada is saying is that when I tell someone else that you are wrong or your belief is wrong, he will not accept it. He feels, no, I am right and whatever I am doing is correct. Now what Dada says is that in spite of that, you try to convince him that no, you are wrong. Then that is something he was doing. Then he understood that there is some mistake and deficiency in me only. The fact that I am seeing him wrong and I am seeing him wrong and trying to convincing him is my mistake.
Okay. That kind of doubt.
That was the doubt. He removed it. The others are wrong. The other
person at fault. Seeing the other person at fault, that is the doubt which he is talking.
That is the doubt here, yes.
And the next after Gyan, means prior to self-realization, when an unhappy thought arose, we would somehow manage to find it, even to a detriment, a way of replacing it with a happy thought or an idea. When worries arise, one goes off to watch a movie or do something else. One allays or temporarily holds in abeyance the suffering, even at the expense of other person. He will try and push away that misery. After Gyan, however, he does not push away that misery at the expense of anyone else. Therefore, he has to endure a lot of suffering, internal penance. That has been my experience. I too have experienced this, because I would not show the mind any new thing, paraya, for my own happiness at the expense of others, another's misery. Now here I want to understand that, he says, I would not show the mind any new thing, paraya, for my own happiness at the expense of others' misery. So here, what kind of means we can also learn how we do not to do this. Any new thing, paraya, what this means, any new thing,
Anyway, basically, you see, someone has hurt me, for example. So I am feeling very miserable. Now, to replace that misery, what I would do is, according to the few lines in the paragraph above, that I will watch a movie or I will go eat something and find a temporary happiness just to cover up the unhappy thoughts that are bugging me, that this man did like this person did like this. So he would try to push away that internal misery by diverting my attention in something else, say watching movie or doing something else. So at times it could be the expense of some other person, and if we pull some other person also, no, you also come with me, let's do this, let's do that. Essentially, what the other is saying is that you would seek a diversion and try to forget the suffering he is experiencing. Then, after Gnan, he said, no, I should not do that. Let whatever has happened, let me take it as internal penance, abhyantartap, as we say it, and do not seek anything else. It's pariyai, sorry, it's pariyai. Any new thing, any new pariyai means don't seek any diversion. That's the sense of it. And do the internal penance. Whatever pain has come to you, accept it, do the penance, abhyantartap as we call it, and do not seek any external diversion to elevate the pain. That is the essence of what Dada is trying to say. That is a learning for all of us. That is a learning for all of us. One minute. That is a learning for all of us, that whenever we are also placed in uncomfortable situations or something, to the extent possible, we must definitely look at this point and not try to change situations or just accept the situation as it is, experience the suffering with the global understanding that everything is of a passing nature, and what has come is because of some past causes. Bad karmas or hurting someone, whatever it may be. So the present suffering that the individual is experiencing is a result of the previous cause. So he should, accept the suffering and just pass it away. So then that karma, the discharge karma gets exhausted. By doing a diversion, then that remains pending. That's basically Gnan Darshan Charitra and Tap. That this is the Tap or the internal penance point that Dada is trying to emphasize.
Yeah, he's saying we are saying that you should not go, you should go ahead and endure the suffering, like you said. Do not spend your
endure the
cash.
suffering. Yes, and do not spend, yes.
Yeah, spiritual energies by substituting the suffering, the natural present ignorance with another source of pleasure, keep the spiritual energies intact. Now, this point, especially for Mahatmas, you little bit elaborated. So, how, what kind of spiritual energies? Means if we understand, then we will get motivated. That what kind of spiritual energies we will expend by, not going looking for another pleasure. I think I also maybe was doing like this thing. So that is why I'm asking.
See, one of the things that comes to my mind immediately is essentially it is the spiritual energy is of observer. To remain as a knower and observer, Mata Drashta, is the essence thing. So if we keep observing the suffering, so the energy of observing that remains intact. If we divert it, then again, what will happen is the interim state, I gets engrossed into that, the substitute or diversion. Whereas if that I remains as an observer, Nadadrashta, then that spiritual energy remains intact. And so that helps us gain, even in favorable circumstances, we can continue to remain as an observer status, as a knower and a seer. So that is a spiritual energy, Natadrashta. Because spiritual energy means energy of the soul. And what is energy of the soul is to observe, Gnan and Darshan. So that remains intact. That is the basic thing.
And then he says people resort.
You see, basically, you see that for Mahatmas, after receiving Gnan, the essence is that I am not the name bearer, but I am the pure soul. That is the biggest thing. So to remain in that awareness, to remain in that state of separateness, can one easily remain when there is hardship or suffering or adverse circumstances in the relative, one automatically will resort to some Gnan or some knowledge of the Dada Bhagwan and come back to the soul. This is not me and this is my effect and all that stuff. So adverse circumstances are a vitamin for the spiritual energies of the soul, So it is a helpful thing So do not fritter away that spiritual energy. Remain in the pure soul so that you can remain in the observed status. Because if things are good in the relative world, things are going as per your good health, wealth, relationships, etc., then you have a tendency to get engrossed with the file number one. And then you will have to again do Purusharth to keep remain separate. But when there is hardship outside, automatically one goes into the seat of this pure soul. So take advantage of that circumstances and keep that spiritual energy intact is what that I'm trying to say.
And he says that people resort to instant medicine when they have to endure any pain or suffering. You are actually increasing your karmic liability and the problem. Here he says liability is increased, Suffering does not go away by pushing it aside or doing something different to alleviate it. If you see the suffering with the experience of Gyan, you decrease the liability. Please explain what kind of liability we incur, so in this.
The karmic liability is basically, we have come with Papa and Punya. We have done some good deeds, we have done some bad deeds. So we are going to experience pleasure for good deeds and pain for the bad deeds. Now, when the pain part comes, the suffering part comes. So that is something which we have to endure. But if I'm not enduring it right away, that endurance part remains on hold. It's and that I have then endure or suffer little later on in life, little later part of in time, little later part. It may come after whatever, 6 months, 1 year, whatever. It will come later in time. So that's the liability, the suffering I have destined, Pap and Punya. Now, if I do not endure it now, then I have to endure it later on. So that liability remains on hold. If it's like it's taking a loan. If you have taken a loan, take minute. If you have taken a loan, then we have to pay EMI. Supposing it's taken on EMI, equated monthly installments. If I don't square up the installments now, then I'll have to pay higher installments little later on. So that's the karmic liability.
But does the karmic liability increase?
Every problems of you see, it will not increase as such, but it will kept on hold, and the same amount will remain. The same amount
maybe
will remain. See, medicine,
maybe
if you just in this medicine case, if I take medicines, then I'm suppressing the suffering right now. So maybe if that much of suffering is still there in my destiny, then that suffering will come little later on.
But here he is saying that you are actually increasing your liability and the problem.
In a sense, the higher EMI will have to be paid later on. Maybe with interest. I don't have the definition of that interest right now. That was once upon a time told by Dada Bhagwan in context with money. That if I, taken loan and don't pay on time, then I have to pay with interest, natural interest. Let's keep that aside because, but something like that. Basically, karmic increasing in the sense that you will have to pay it in a greater amount later on. Because when you are then suffering at maybe a later point of age or something, then the capacity to endure that suffering may not be there. The mental and physical capabilities of the Prakriti, we may not have. So, headache suffering at say age 30 and headache suffering at age 60, it will cause more impact at age 60 because mental and physical capabilities have reduced. At age 30, you can endure much more things. So maybe with that viewpoint, we may say that it will increase the liability. Because more.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Hey, Deepakanandji, you want to add something? Deepakanandji, you there?
Moment, yeah. I just supplement a little bit. What I said, I believe that which is there, and these are people who are not realized, and because they're going to cause no problem. And people who are realized, then the kind of liabilities would be like they had that opportunity to experience bliss and separation and get away with the karma. So take the opportunity. only in that sense you can understand.
Your voice is not audible for me.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear?
No, voice is not audible proper.
Yeah, I shut off the video. Go ahead now.
So it is like for people who are not realized, definitely they are causing a karma. So that becomes obvious liability. Otherwise, people who are realized that they are missing this opportunity. Here it is actually not enduring the pain or suffering, but not even bearing. I mean, enduring relates to bearing. Here, when
Pulinanandji, can you grasp what Deepakanandji said?
Well, I just the voice is coming, but the words are a little difficult to understand. The beginning of it, what I understood was, what I could hear was that those who don't have Gyan are not initiated in self-realization. For them, they are charging new karmas, and that was one of the ways of interpreting they increase their liability. For Mahatmas, then after that, I could not catch the words. I could hear the voice, but could not catch the words.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Okay,
fine. We will move on now. Subir bhai. Thank you, Kashyap bhai.
Thank you. Yes.
Jai Sachidanand Pulinanandji, Jai Sachidanand Deepakanandji, and Sarve Mahatma. Pulinanandji, there is one term like Dharma. This Dharma is also have so many terms like Lokik Dharma, Alokik Dharma, real, relative Dharma, and even outside this, what is called Hindu, Muslim, Jain, Sikh, whatever is there. So what is the actual meaning in Sanskrit word, the Dharma? And why it is so many terms, and which is confusing actually.
You see, the word dharma is used with reference to context at various places. So depending on the context it is used with, it will have an interpretation, essentially one of the, and just plain this thing, dharma means what is its function? What is the dharma of the eyes to see? What is the dharma of the ears to listen? So that is one way. That what is the dharma? Gun dharma, this is the properties and the nature of properties and the functioning. That is the essence of dharma. Then it is also used, as you said, in worldly terms: Hindu religion, Muslim religion, Sikh religion. So those are the essence of those religions, the concepts of those religions, where they say, according to Sikhism, this is what we should do, we should not do. This is what our God or our spiritual master has taught us. So interpretation is based on the context. Essentially, it's what's the function. So then if it's in the, what is the dharma of the body or eyes? So that way, then dharma in the worldly sense as Sikh and Hindu Muslim religion. And then the same thing is very broadly classified as relative and real dharma. So all the others are relative dharmas. Everything, if I may put it in just two words, in two broad categories, essentially, dharma is in the Pudgal or the relative, and dharma of the soul or the real. Gross level by two. So dharma of the soul is what? What is the dharma of the soul? What is the function of the soul? To be an observer. Then what is the dharma of the relative? Then in relative, you have both the definitions, as I said. One of the definitions is of the religions, worldly religions, Hindu, Sikh, Muslim. And one of the definitions is of the Prakruti. What is the dharma? What is the dharma of the animal, for example? Lion is to roar, to eat animals, like that. So what is the dharma of so every person has a dharma or a belief system. So sort of associated and told like that. What dharma essentially means, what's its function is.
Actually, sorry, I checked the Sanskrit meaning of that one, dharma, the word itself. So the meaning of the dharma is in Sanskrit, it is saying as to hold, to support, and to maintain. So that is the broad term, the meaning of the dharma, right? Now, as you rightly told that then there will be classification mainly on two terms, real and relative. So real dharma, we understand after Gyan that this real dharma is only the Atma dharma is the real dharma. And remaining all the dharmas are relative, right?
Right.
So all the relative, the dharma, real dharma, that we understand that Atma dharma and Atma ka jo, what you told as the qualities, Atma dharma. So that is associated with that dharma, real dharma. But the relative dharma is so many ways to explain. No, like that, this type of dharma, these worldly dharmas, Hindu, Muslim, those are also one of the path of rightness. They so actually explain the path of rightness, right behavior or social order, how to remain in society. There must be some norms. You can say those are norms instead of dharma, the way they explain. So this is that type of classification is there for the relative terms. So this is my understanding. But all these relative dharmas, they are actually prescribed or whatever you can say, advised to follow to know the real dharma. Am I right?
Yeah, but basically, you see, this one Aptaputra recently come, all the relative, they ultimately prod you or lead you towards the real dharma.
Yes, to know the truth. That is the real dharma.
The absolute truth or the absolute real dharma.
Yes, yes.
All the relative dharmas ultimately it leads one or pushes one or prods one towards real dharma only. I may come from Krishna or Muslim, then I'll come to Hinduism, then Vedant, maybe Jainism and all. And ultimately I'll come to the pure soul.
Right. So that is the absolute real dharma, you can say, right?
So then
according to you.
Dharma means what is the function. Now, if you talk of real dharma is the real dharma means the dharma of the soul. Dharma of the soul is to know and see. Gnata Andhra
Right.
So, but till then, everybody doesn't attain it. So we have so easily attained with the grace of the Bhagwan. But for the worldly life, the step path is always there. No? They have to come step by step only. So for them, they have to, basically, they will come from not hurting people, then not hurting animals, then come to higher order of ahimsa, not hurting anybody even to the slightest extent. So they're from non-veg food to veg, not hurting animals, and not hurting others, and not hurting ourselves. So that is the path of spiritual progress. And then it says not hurting in the relative, it will come to inner happiness, then inner happiness will come to the inner self or recognition of the inner pure self. And where that finally the pure self is realized, that is the final dharma. Even the religions have like that.
So all these religions we can classify it as a path or ways to lead to this real dharma, that is Atma dharma.
And it is required. All these are required because the development of human beings is also different. No?
Right.
It's like a school. Some students are in the first class, some students in the 10th class, some in the 5th class. So as the student's age and understanding increases, he needs a different. Similarly, as the human being evolves, he needs a different and higher understanding, a higher religion, a higher spiritually enlightened person. Because developments of each individual is different.
So one only dharma or this religion cannot set all the means people. It cannot be right for. So that is according to as per you. Also, I have heard that as per development of the human being, these dharmas are set, different dharmas, like a Jain dharma, Hindu dharma, according to their development. And to be precise, also, I have all these things I am telling because I have got it from the Dada's all this preaching. Though according to this one, though they have classified on the basis of the ahimsa, I believe so.
Ultimately, yes. First, it comes on the basic development of human Prakriti is understanding the capacity of development of the individual, and the development is more high based on the extent of non-violence as he understands, as he evolves.
Right. Right.
Why we say this is a superior? Actually, nothing is superior or inferior. They are only at different levels. So we can't say superior or inferior. But the difference is in the intensity of ahimsa or non-violence, the respective dharma preaches, and ultimately realizing and approaching higher and higher towards self-realization. Who one
Right.
truly. So that is the way they are graded, if you may put it. There is nothing right and wrong, but it's a gradation.
Right. But that is the basis of the non-violence, right?
Non-violence and then ultimately culminating in a realization of the self. Because ultimately, one is non-violence and one is finding happiness. Na? So even in the worldly, that you will be happy in this worldly life if you do as God has said, as Allah has said, as Christ has said, or as someone has said, you know. So it is on non-violence and happiness. Well, essentially, everybody wants happiness. You will be happy if you don't split someone in the relative dharmas. You will be happy if you don't say lies, or you know. So those are the principles or teachings of even relative dharmas. So you will be happy by say doing donation, say by not stealing, you know. But there are a set of do's, a set of don'ts in the religious.
Right.
Essentially, for worldly happiness, because for him that is of importance. He is not yet developed to understand the concept of self and happiness of the soul, you know, but only keeps itself as God, something superior. That is his level of development. Then from the relative happiness towards permanent happiness. So the religions ultimately go from relative to real happiness. And in the process, you have to be non-violent, non-hurting to anybody, because you have to scare off all accounts, be free from the body. So there, you can't hurt anybody. If you hurt any living creature, basically I'm causing turbulence in nature. Na? So the turbulence means again that much effect, whether of hurt or of pain, of pleasure or of pain. So to be non-turbulent means to pure soul. So the gradation is from happiness towards permanent, from temporary or relative happiness to permanent happiness. All dharma basically towards permanent happiness or realizing the pure soul, be essential. In the process, they start relative happiness, relative non-pain, then going up towards self-happiness.
And somewhere I heard or I have read that one, that according to the non-violence, particularly Dada has graded the religions also. So
yeah,
Jain, I don't know that is correct or not, that Jain is the topmost from the non-violence and according to your standard of understanding of the person being.
Yeah, because see, essentially it is the teachings directly of the Tirthankars of the fully enlightened person. Na? The fully enlightened persons are Tirthankars, you know, because they have 100% understand the pure soul and are instrumental. So all the religions have basically sprouted, historically it is said in scriptures, that all these worldly religions have originated from Adinath Bhagwan or the first Lord Rishabdev.
Right.
The broad classification of Vedism, Vedanta and Jainism, and then all the other religions followed through.
Right.
So ultimate is the pure soul, and pure soul, we say that it is the Tirthankars, number one, then even the Vasudevs and Gnani Purush and all are also enlightened beings. But so it essentially we have to come to Swadharma or our pure soul. Recognizing the pure soul then only means for relative happiness and relative unhappiness or pain, leading to permanent happiness and total non-violence.
Right. No, clear is okay. It's okay.
Okay, Deepakanandji, you there?
Yeah. Okay. Dharma, in its very simplified form, we can say perfection in any field. So if you see on the relative worldly side, then you are son of your father. So if you are following dharma of your as a son, then your father will always be happy. Then you are brother. As brother, you live rightly. As father, as husband, you live rightly. Your wife is happy. As father, you live rightly. Your children are happy. As person who is working somewhere, and if you are working rightly, then your boss is happy. So here that concept of non-violence that came up reflects the understanding of Dharma, how that Dharma is going to help you. And one is, it is discussed and very well said, the per dharma or relative dharma. It relates to bringing your normality, that is perfection, on the relative side. And when you are perfect on the relative side, it is said that you become eligible to get the as the path of traditional renunciation and penance. But here in Akram out of exception, we have got blessed, and through grace we got realized, and we got the real Dharma or Swadharma, what we have been talking about. And being as a Swadharma or real Dharma, when you are perfectly observing yourself, that is Subhiji, all his mistakes and clearing them, then you are a perfect Mahatma. So if we want to just put in one line, like as it is said, normality is the essence of life, Dharma is the essence of life. It makes you perfect in every aspect of your living, relative and real both. I believe this encompasses everything. Right?
To sum up, I can say like this, means according to your explanation, whatever role is given to us as a human being, that is Subir has, that is the way of means living and right behavior, social in the society we are remaining. So social orders have to be maintained. These are all from the relative side I'm speaking. So right behavior in the family, in the society, all those things are from the relative point of view, right? But all those things, while maintaining all those things, our aim or purpose should be to lead to this Atma Dharma or real Dharma, what you call.
It
right?
eventually leads you to Atma Dharma, it says. Eventually, as you grow higher and higher and higher, so life progress is based on non-violence, how non-violent you are, or how non-hurting you are to others.
Right.
In one aspect, you can also say that if you are a Kshatriya, then you have a Kshatriya Dharma to follow. If you are a Brahmin, you have a Brahmin Dharma to follow, and so on. So nowhere any complaint or nobody can point finger at you, then you are in perfect Dharma. Let it be relative, let it be real.
So
and
everybody,
the observance of Dharma is going to lead you to happiness. One is the relative worldly happiness, and another is the real spiritual happiness.
Right. So for a individual, whatever we are here in the earth, so whatever is the role the means given to us at the time of birth, so that we have to first maintain that one, the way of living, whatever you call it, and social order, what is in the society, family, everywhere in the country. So that we have to do it perfectly, means sincerely, perfectly, whatever you call it, and that will lead to know the truth. That is the real Dharma. Is it like that?
Relative truth leads you to the real truth, in the sense you are obliged to follow the rules of the land, the rules of the angels, the celestial laws, and the law of God. And that is abiding these laws, you fall into that Dharma and you get the benefit of being and following the Dharma rightly.
Right. Yes.
I like this condition of normality, what Dada has said is perfection. And when the normality is, because the purpose of spirituality ultimate is to free yourself from every kind of abnormality on the relative side. Because only at a certain level of relative achievement you can go. It's like until 10th Gunasthana, you can reach. self-effort. Beyond that,
Right.
it is only possible to grace. And then that grace and obedience ultimately help you finally climb the ladder of absoluteness, reach absoluteness. Jai
Right.
Satchidananda.
Whatever this law of God you are telling, we can say as a what is called worldly matters, law of nature. We can consider it as a law of nature. Is
No,
it like that?
law of God is different. Law of God is to see God in everyone. By seeing God in everyone, but you have to have that vision to see God in everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And second, you can say, because God is in every creature, don't hurt anyone.
Mm-hmm.
That is God. But from the relative perspective, if you want happiness, then you give happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get that?
Right.
And seeing God and living with that ultimate non-violence, unhurting, you become God.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
One,
Pulinanandji?
just to add a little bit, I mean, in fact, Deepakanandji already covered it. As we were saying, that basically Dharma, which starts with non-hurting and seeking
Mm.
the truth, the absolute happiness. And as he said, essentially, as what you also said, basically in the relative, if we perform our role and duties assigned to us properly, as a father, son, daughter, and all. So essentially, it is performing our role and duties, that is the relative dharma as a father or as a saint.
Mm.
So is there why that is necessary to perform your role or duty in the because in the process you're not hurting anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's the non-violence put in a little different perspective with a different viewpoint.
Right. Mm-hmm.
To various people at various point of time, different words and examples they used to essentially convey everything. 360 perspective of to practice dharma, which what actually should I do? Okay, practice what God has said in Sikhism, Catholicism, or relative dharma, and then practice dharma as a husband, wife, father, son, in your relative matter. So duty and role play, and basically it's agnas of whatever relative dharma also.
Barabar.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, Jai
Jai
Satchidananda.
Jai.
Okay, Lalita Ben, that's okay. You can turn on the.
Yes. Jai Satchidanand, Pulinanandji and
Jai
Deepakanandji.
Satchidananda.
My question is, Nyatapano. I'm struggling with it because it's part of the separation process. To just know my thoughts, my chit wanders constantly. Buddhi is giving me all these arguments. To just know that and not give any opinions, which file number 1 wants to do. Can you go into that in detail as how I can accomplish that?
Deepakanandji?
Jai Satchidananda. There are the two aspects. One is the primary aspect is seeing, and the final achievement is knowing.
Okay.
So it is elementary or primary stage, which we are all now, because today our relative is not normal. It's not Sahaj. So until it becomes Sahaj, everyone is in the seeing aspect or seeing level. That is drashta form, drashta state. Gnata state is the result of achieving perfection of drashta state, wherein you become totally separate from the relative. Relative becomes independent. Without your intervention, it becomes natural. Then it is yata state, that is knowing state. And knowing state is called experience state. So until then, until your relative, your body self is not normal, you need it to observe and correct yourself.
Constantly.
So that is drashta state, to understand that this is not me and this is not perfect, so I need to correct. Lalita, until then, it is drashta state or seeing state, perceiving state.
Okay.
And when the job is over, no more correction is needed, then that same drashta state becomes gnata state. That is, you reach that ultimate state of experience of separation wherein your intervention is not needed on the relative side. Relative side becomes normal and perfect. So we very casually say gnata drashta state, knowing and seeing state. That's not. We are in the seeing state, Purusharth.
Purusharth, okay.
The seeing state is Purusharth and experience state is knowing part.
Okay.
Drashta part is Purusharth state and Gnata state is experience state.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That cleared a lot of my doubts. Thank you.
Pulinanandji?
You see, I have a little different this thing. One of the things you mentioned was struggling with the prakriti, the buddhi, and everything,
Correct.
So one of the essential Purusharth is just observe and allow it to pass. My intellect is saying like this, I want to speak like this, I want to do like this. It'll be at the thought level, maybe at the chit level, maybe at the intellectual level. Maybe you could just do a Samayik for say 10 minutes or whatever is possible, more than that. Where you just sit and simply observe your antaskaran, mind, intellect, chit and ego. Or just observe that this thought has come, the chit is wandering here, that is happening, That will show you what really knowing means or observing means. Forget the definition of observing and knowing. Actually, drashta and gnata, it's a little this thing. But basically, you're an observer. Essentially, you're not getting entangled into it.
Okay.
What you said was, if I understood your question correctly, that you are struggling to remain separate or in the observer status. You get entangled in, or you get carried away by the intellect or the chitta.
Yes.
Or the mind. That was the essence of your question. So that is happening with all of us because that is the way we have been leading our lives so long. So to develop the art of remaining separate and being an observer is the key thing. So one way that you could do is by practicing, intentionally, by just sitting idle for say whatever duration, 10 to 50 minutes, whatever is possible, and just keep observing, and it'll be a wonderful experience. Oh, I'm just an observer. This mind, this thought has come, this chit has gone there, this intellect is just bubbling up and down. Observe. Don't do anything. Not doing anything is also one of the Purusharthas. We are so used to doing and getting engrossed.
Yes.
So this is one of the means to achieve that status with eyes and hands open, So it's a practice, one of the Purusharths, as we used to do in Agyaras. That is one of the things that Dada Bhagwan has given by of Purusharth for all Mahatmas, 24-hour, that 24-hour affair. But you can do it to start with 10 minutes. So this is one of the ways to come into that state of observer. Then Dada Bhagwan has defined darshan and gnan or drashta or gnata in one way. One of the ways he has defined is that to see things at a gross level is drashta, and to see things at a individual or perfect level is gnata. As an example, he says that if you're passing by the road and you see a forest, on the side of your road, you're traveling by car or something, see a lot of trees and all that stuff. So when you see it at the level, trees and all, so then you say that it's a tree. So it's a picture or a view. So it's a drashta. But then if you see it specifically that this is a mango tree, this is, this fruit tree, this flower tree separately, then it's a gne and you are a gnata. Gne means a specific identified object. Darshan means at the gross level.
Correct.
So jungle is at the gross level, so many trees. And specifically, if you are able to observe, then it's a gnata, because it's a gne. Darshan means darshan means a total view, total this thing. That this is a forest, and this is this. Actually, then it is this that becomes gne, and you are when you're observing as a gne, then you're a gnata. When you're observing as a drashya, then you're a drashta. It's the same thing.
So it's when it's specific, it's your
specific is Gyan, gross is darshan, you know. If you're sitting for half an hour, 1 hour passed away, I was feeling so miserable, all negative thoughts were coming for this person, and my half an hour, 1 hour went back. So gross level, if you see, yes, I had bad thoughts for these people, so you're a drashta. But then if you pointedly go, this thought came, that thought came, then that's a gne. And if you are observing the gne, then you're a gnata. If you're observing the drashya, you're a drashta. As simple as that.
Okay.
And it's the same. It's an observing function, whether it's a gross or specific.
Correct.
So if it's gross, it's that. Sometimes we can say my whole day was bad. Then sometimes, no, I spoke like this, like this, like this. If you recall sentences, then that's a gne, and then you're a gnata. But that's online when you're speaking it. You know? So that this is a slight difference between. And one other example that the points again, that you're sitting in a room and you find a sound coming over there, then something is there, someone has come. And someone has come is called darshan. And when you go out and see, oh, it was a dog, then that is a gnan. Realizing. Yes. So these are various examples given to understand Gyan and Darshan from different perspectives. So both are the functions of the soul, Darshan, Drashta or Gnata. Gross is Darshan, specific is Gnana. And then again, gross is Samaj, and as he said, knowledge is experience. I've understood it at gross level. Then when I experience it, this particular and specific, that becomes Darshan, becomes Gnan. There are viewpoints.
When I start to do my Charan Vidhi in the morning, I try to be an observer, and then while I'm saying my Charan Vidhi, my chit has wandered off to what all are the things you're supposed to do today, and then I drag it back to the Charan Vidhi, lost my observership, and so this just goes on, so I'm not been able to completely observe myself, do the whole Charan Vidhi from beginning to end without these interruptions.
No, you have not lost your observership. In fact, you are in observership, because the very fact you could identify my chit has gone out and now you are dragging it back. How do you come to know chit has gone out unless you have observed it? So you are essentially a observer of the Charan Vidhi. What you are saying is the chit and mind play tricks, and then it is not able to do this. You are not able to do it with full concentration. That's what you're trying to say.
Correct.
So observer you are. The very fact that you have identified chitta is gone and you're bringing it back, how will you come to know unless you observe it? No? Observer you are, but basically you could not focus on it. That's the issue.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter. You are still an observer. You observe that you could do the Charan Vidhi very correctly with full focus and attention, uninterrupted. And at times there will be days where that will happen. The worldly course or some incident will keep triggering, and thoughts of that will keep popping up even while doing Charan Vidhi. He told like this, what to do. So observing both, the Charan Vidhi is being done properly today, Charan Vidhi is not being done properly today, is true observer status. Because the doer is separate and the observer is separate. Doer is file number 1. It's trying to do. So we must pray to Dada that please give me the strength to do this Charan Vidhi with full attention. And then to the level best do it. And if there are interruptions, bring it back. That's the only remedy.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Only thing, the interruptions, because you're observing the interruptions. Who has come to know the interruptions?
Correct, but it takes away the pleasure of being the observer.
You see, actually, when you are doing Charan Vidhi with full attention and focus, you are not an observer, and you may not be an observer during the process. I'm saying during the process. What we can say, Dada Bhagwan, give me the strength to do Charan Vidhi with full focus and attention in the presence of the Chitta, and then you start off. And then supposing And supposing the entire Charanvidhi goes off very well with full attention, you're able to read the alphabets or words and things like that, then you generally say, okay, today file number 1, Pulin, you have done the Charanvidhi very well, very nice. The doer is separate and the observer is separate, mind you.
Yes.
So you have done with the full attention, or you have done the Charanvidhi in full presence of the Chitta is the only pleasure. Is the pleasure you are saying I don't get.
Mm-hmm.
But and there will be days when it will not be done with absolute presence or in full concentration. So they observe that also, that today he is not doing properly, but next time please do properly and give me strength to do it properly.
Okay. Thank you.
That is
Jai
the way I would.
Satchidanand. Suvir bhai?
Jai Satchidanand.
Pulinanji, just from your explanation, I just want to know or confirm myself that whenever we do this, whatever the example you have explained now, wherever the chit is going during our prayers or whatever is there, and means whenever it is going or any thoughts coming, that we know that it is these thoughts are coming and our chit is wandering. So that is the observer stage. But where it is going and what thoughts is coming, that is called this Gyata, or what is called the experience stage, knowledge stage.
Yes, basically it's detail and gross.
Specifically to know what thoughts come on and where the chit has gone. That is the Gyata stage, right?
Specifically, if I could identify, first my chit went to this place house, then it went to this person, that person. That is the Gnata state. But if the gross say, oh, my chit was out at this thing. So then at the gross, you see it's a drashta state.
So that classification is there, right?
Both are observer states. One is gross and one is fine.
Right. Yeah. Now, Deepakanandji, I have a little understanding to more, that you have told that observer stage is that is the Purusharth, and this Gyata stage is that is the experience, Anubhav, right? So can you explain how it means called Purusharth, particularly this observer state?
It is like when you are on the observer side, observer state, then you are in the process of understanding Subhiji. Is relative. So in that process, there is a fight or there is an effort to correct yourself from all your mistakes.
Right.
In the sense, there will be skips, there will be laps in your observing also. We say we are observing, but we get driven away by the situation. So that is where it breaks. When breaks are coming, you are in the state of Purusharth, you are in the state of understanding. And when you understand it fully, then that same state, that means you have understood it perfectly. So now that separation is there and it remains. Then that same observing state or perceiving state become your knowing state. Now you don't need any Purusha. You don't need any correction. Correction is done. Until that correction process is there, it is Purusha state and it is observing state, that is Drashta state.
That is Purusharth. Purusharth followed by knowledge, that is alter. Purusharth, whatever is that, to observe. To observe, that is the first step.
Will result into experience. Yeah. Right. Observing is you trying to understand what is what. And when you say you have understood, you have understood relative fully in the sense that it is relative and relative and relative because I am real. Period. No doubt, no questions regarding relative.
Yes. The
In
example,
whatever form, in whatever situation, whatever state it is.
Yeah. So the example the Pulinanandji said now, during this prayer, this chit is going out or something like that, huh? Or a thoughts are coming, pouring inside. So that one, to know that one, this is chit is wandering or more thoughts are coming inside. That is the Purusharth. That is the first state, right? Observing state. And where it is going, where it is. Huh?
Yeah. You know. You say you have to see. If you say no,
see.
then you know where it is going. You are seeing where it is going.
Yes. So to go means to observe means according to you see. To see the chit is going outside or these thoughts are pouring in. So that is the call is the observer state or in the drashta stage, right? And to go further, where it is going, what thoughts is coming inside. So that to know that one is the ultimate our knowledge or experience, you can say. From that also, we can...
Let us analyze this perception state. Let us understand the perception state. Perception state, there are lapses. In this sense, there is a lapse, and you don't know. And you say, hey, where am I? And you start investigating. You understand? Right. So it is the pressure of the circumstances or the karmic pressure which doesn't allow you to see. And if you are able to see, then you are knowing. You are in the knowing state.
Right.
See, knowing state is a perfection state.
Right.
And seeing state is the learning state. You are trying to understand, you are trying to learn that, oh, this is relative. Oh, this is also relative. But our problem is while we are perceiving or while we are observing or while we are seeing, that knowing state is there in a passive state. Because we are put in that Vigyan Sarup state, absolute state. Do you understand that? So we many a time say that, oh, I know that I was lost and all that. But no, that is not happening at that moment. You realize that after the situation. Do you understand that? Where did I get lost? While I am lost, I don't know where am I. While I am lost, I don't know where am I. But after I realized that, oh, I was lost, then I say, yeah, I know I was lost. But no, at that time it was not there. So that was your observation state with a lapse. And when that knowing state is there, you will never get lost. So that you have perfected the relative. Do you understand that? Only I will say the puzzle at times is because our knowing state or absolute state is passive at that moment because we are lost in the relative.
Right.
Okay, Shiviribai?
It's okay.
Yes, Mirabai?
I only have one observation based on what Pulinanandji, first Jai Sachidanand Pulinanandji, Deepakanandji, Rajni Kaka, all the Mahatmas, Jai Sachidanand. I have one observation. I have the same issue of my chit. I've asked multiple times to both Pulinanandji and Deepakanandji about the seeing and knowing. And what they told me, thanks to Dada's grace, is very helpful for me. So I want to share that. Every time I have my chit is moving around and I see, as Pulinanandji and Deepakanandji said, that I see that my chit is moving. Almost internally, they told me, you say this is discharge. Your chit is moving, you're seeing, and it is discharge. So you see, sorry, excuse me. So from that perspective, from that perspective, once this Mira or this Shuddhatma understands that it is discharge, immediately my chit comes back and it comes to where it's going. It should be. So this was a very helpful technique that Pulinanandji and Deepakanandji had taught me, and it really, really helps. That's all. Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand, any comments or?
Jai Satchidanand, but did you understand, Dusubiji? I was lost. I mean, my internet dropped.
Oh, I was only saying, Deepakanandji, that you and Pulinanandji helped me when my chit, I have this problem of this chit going places. You both told me that once you know your chit is gone, that I see that my chit is not in that space that it should be, meaning my mind, speech, and body are not doing the exact thing the same thing that they should, then I know that it is discharge. Once I realize that this is discharge, my chit comes back and everything starts working the same. And you both taught me that, and I have been practicing. And it is really a very helpful tool. So Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
We can say that where there is snap in our observing, then it is observing state. Observing state without snap is knowing state.
Yes.
Jai Satchidanand.
Okay,
Jai
Jai Satchidanand, our time is up. So Pulinanandji, can you do Srimantra? Everybody please follow.
Jai Satchidanand.
Namo Vitragay.
Namo
Vitragay.
Yantanam.
Namo Arihantanam.
Namo Satchidanand.
Mayariyanam.
Namo Ayariyanam.
Namo Vajrayanam.
Namo Vasayanam.
Namo Vaisavasam.
Namo Loe Sabasahunam.
Eso Panchanamukaro.
Eso Panchanamukaro.
Vapanasano.
Vapanasana.
Manglanancha Sabvesim.
Manglanancha Savesam.
Mangalam.
Padam Bhavai Mangalam.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
Satchidanand, Pulinanandji, Deepakanandji, Rajnikantbhai, and all the
Satchidanand,
Pulinanandji.
Jai Satchidanand,
Jai Satchidanand.
Lata Ben, Jai Satchidanand.
Jai
Jai
Satchidanand.
Satchidanand, Mahatma.
Dr. Krishna, Jai Satchidanand, Arunabha, Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.